Alright, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the fallout of the J-Grand Prix here in 5-Star Supreme Wrestling with American influence. We are, of course, like I just said, following up our J-Grand Prix, which was quite a Grand Prix, which if you haven't seen that video and you don't want a spoiler, you got about 3 seconds before I reveal the winner of the 2023 J-Grand Prix, Maya, winning her first Grand Prix, defeating Yuma at Joshi Mania, and now winning her first Grand Prix, so she's officially in the main event scene. But that means that in the main event of this pay-per-view Hearts Champion, she will be taking on her stable leader, her unit, her faction leader, Miwako Katsukawa, for the World Championship. Of course, that is not the only thing that's going to happen coming out of the J-Grand Prix this year. Like I like to do, I like to have the storylines of certain match outcomes continue to progress throughout the following pay-per-view or two. So there will be more coming out of this. It's just this is the only thing we know for sure. So yeah, let's get straight into the first tour show coming out of the J-Grand Prix. Alright, night one is here. Night one of Hearts Champions, of just the Heart Tour. Not Hearts Champion Tour, just Heart Tour. We got a big 4v4. We got Apex in 3 different matches tonight. 2 against members of Icon Idols. And then the main event, we of course are going to have Miwako and Maya, who they are going to be main eventing the pay-per-view facing each other. But main eventing tonight, they're going to be on the same team, along with Down to the Mat, to take on Apex's Fuyuko Higa, Jemi Onishi, Sei Akutagawa, and Yu Hashimoto. So, we're past the era of Apex missing the first tour day of every single tour, because I believe, and I could be mistaken, but I don't think I am, I believe every single member of Apex in this new largest faction in the company, Apex, are all booked tonight. So, let's get straight into it. We kick things off with our 2 Young Lion matches, of course. Bulk and Blue defeating Mitsu and Iyuko. Connie's and Kinye's chemistry is absolutely doing wonders for both of them right now. And then Lady Lotus and Aikira got a 48. So, you know, Young Lion matches, they're not going to get the greatest ratings in the world. Kicking the actual start of the show off is Team Sub teaming with the Rose Queens to take on Best Ever's Chibi Violence and the Uprising. And unfortunately for Team Sub, who at the end, not at the end of the pay-per-view, sorry, after Shiori Japensha and the Uprisings lost to Icon Idols, Shiori was called out once again by Iyuko, and Iyuko's like, you can't dodge me forever. Well, tonight, Best Ever get the victory over Team Sub and the Rose Queens when Shiori runs out, hits Chieko Kita with, I don't know, like a fucking brainbuster or something, allowing Selena's Valette to lock in the prawn arm lock and get the victory. And Shiori and the Uprising continue to beat down Team Sub until Shiori grabs a microphone and says, look, Iyuko, I embarrassed your ass at Joshi Mania. So if you want to come back at me, which you already shouldn't be doing, you're going to need a lot more than just Chieko Kita. Because the 2 of you versus Best Ever is a losing battle every single time. And honest to God, you should probably get over it, because I'm going to be focusing on other things. I have other things I want to clear up after that Grand Prix disaster that I had, and you are not on my priority list. So until you can actually prove that you can beat my underlings, I'm not going to let you anywhere near me. 53 for that angle. Following that, we have Apex's Sayuri Honda and Romi Yamato losing to the Persian Queens in 13:35 when Megumi Nakajima pinned Romi Yamato with the Nakajima straitjacket. 2 perfect performances by Yuma and Megumi here. Romi Yamato almost having a perfect 64 performance, but not everyone can be perfect like 64. However, Romi Yamato, so after the match, the Persian Queens try to do that, you know, the babyface thing of like, good match, shake the hand, all that stuff, give credit to the opponents. But Romi Yamato, who had a pretty embarrassing Grand Prix, being the only person of 18 competitors to not get a single victory. She finished with 2 points, but they both came in draws. So, you know, not one victory in the Grand Prix. And Romi Yamato, kind of not in the greatest of moods right now. slaps the hand away from her, and then slaps Megumi Nakajima for pinning her tonight. Very upset with her performance at the Grand Prix, and taking it out on Megumi Nakajima, which was just the final straw that broke the camel's back in Romi Yamato's emotions, I guess. So 65 for that angle. This is going to be a very angle-heavy show, by the way, so get ready for that. Following that, we have another 3v3, this time with Wounded Warriors debuting as official members of Apex. However, the debut does not go nearly as planned, as the team of High Fly Royalty and Eri Sato defeat Monster Ishimura and Wounded Warriors, with Michiko Matsuda pinning Kaori Takanouchi with the run-up Rana. And speaking of performances in the Grand Prix, okay, thank you, Monster Ishimura. Good thing you're finally developing in the ring. Speaking of performances in the J-Grand Prix, Michiko Matsuda did not finish with 10 points, and she makes note of that, but she did get 2 major victories, one over Yuma Maruya and one over Shiori Japensha. On back-to-back days, she beat 2 of the biggest stars of the company's history, and she essentially makes note of that. Like, hey, look, I think even though my performance wasn't the strongest in the blue block, I think that my work speaks for itself, and I have earned an All-Asian title match, or at least to be in the contention for the All-Asian title after those 2 victories. So a 55 rated segment, Michiko Matsuda finally looking to take that next step in her career after a really good triangle title reign to kick off the save. And in our main event, a 76 as Chicas Locas, down to the mat, Miwako and Maya defeat Apex's Yu, Sei, Higa, and Jemmy. A completely clean swept Apex here tonight, which is a little embarrassing, as Miwako Katsukawa hits Yu Hashimoto with the Katsukawa bomb, gets the victory. Everyone in Apex is going to have a really good performance because I protected all of them, because this is a tour show. I didn't want to fucking bother with, not necessarily bother, I just didn't want them to get hurt too much, because this whole match was about, wait, these 2 girls are main eventing the next pay-per-view, and they're teaming tonight. Can they get the job done? They could. However, Maya and Miwako agree for the rest of the tour show, no more teaming up. They don't want to give their opponent a front row seat to possible tactics they're going to use. Both women agree to not hold anything back at Hearts Champion. Whoever wins will not only win the title, but take control and be the new unit leader of Chicas Locas. So whoever comes out of Hearts Champion with the title will also come out with the title of leader of Chicas Locas. And that is how we end the show. Say 80 rated segment, but we do have a post-match promo. During a press conference, Sei Akutagawa essentially is like, look, Michiko Matsuda, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that those 2 victories over both Yuma and Shiori weren't impressive. They very much were. However, like you said, you didn't even finish with 7 points. Look, I could be the All-Asian champion right now. However, I just didn't want to, because the current All-Asian champion is a stablemate and a close friend of mine. I didn't want to go in there and ruin her title reign. But if Michiko Matsuda is going to start calling shots, then by all means, I should be in the conversation for the All-Asian championship as well. So Sei Akutagawa calling shots after Michiko Matsuda wants to graduate to the next step of her career. And a 79 for our first tour show. Very good tour show. We made $9,100. The finances have never been better. We're over 50, but that happened on the last show. So, yeah, that concludes the first of 6 tour shows of this episode. Alright, night 2 is here. We ended night 1 with a pretty fun main event. And night 2, I honest to God can't even remember what's main eventing. I should check to make sure it's... Yeah, okay, it's a 5v5. A huge 5v5 between Icon Idols and Best Ever. We got Yuma, Megumi, Eri, and the tag champs versus Shiori, Chibi, and the Uprising. And then we have a bunch of fun matches in between. So let's just kick it off. First things first, we have Aikira and Mitsu versus Determination. And in the other Young Lion match, we have Ayuko versus Sakura Sada. Eventually, Sakura Sada will get the race to good momentum between Sakura Sada and Zofia Jankovic will be never ending. Never ending. So 39 for that match. We kick things off with a 56 seeing Kiyomi Mizuka and Bulk and Blue defeating the team of Venomous and Zofia Jankovic. Good match. Fucking Christ, Venomous and Zofia are much better than anyone has any right to be. But a 56 for this, and then Sayuri Honda comes out following that just to let her old graduating class brethren know that their feud is not over. Yes, Sayuri won, but Sayuri is not done with her until she can get her hands on her one-on-one. So a 40 rated segment for Sayuri calling out Kiyomi, which is essentially way fucking higher than I thought this would ever be. Following that, we have a tag match between Rika Rina and Romy and Say. Literally no reason other than I wanted Say to win a match. So here we go. Say beats Rika with the Northern Lights in 15-19 in a 63 rated tag match. Following that, we have a 73 because Fuyuko Higa's in here. Fuyuko Higa teaming with the new members of Apex Wounded Warriors, defeating the team of Down to the Mat and Thea Davis. Not a member of Chicas Locas, which is weird, but, you know, teaming with Thea Davis. 73 for that. And then our main event, the big 5v5, gets a 69 because Fuyuko Higa was not in it. But in the end, Best Ever get the victory when Shiori Japensha submitted Eri Sato with the Japensha leg lock, meaning that even though at the pay-per-view Yuma and the tag champs went over, tonight Shiori goes over Icon Idols to continue this feud going. These two have been feuding since damn near the beginning of the save, and after a little bit of a break, they reignited the feud in the Grand Prix after going to a time limit draw, and then Yuma beating Shiori in a 3v3 at the pay-per-view. But now that Shiori has evened up the score since, they continue to go face-to-face with each other, and that is how we end the show for the live crowd. But one of the first things that happens in the press conference is Fuyuko Higa talks about it. She's like, look, I don't understand why Shiori and Yuma keep having this feud, like, oh, who the best fucking person in the company is. Who's the greatest name in the company? Honest to God, it's neither of them. Because please, Devil, Sensational, please remind me which of these two held the world championship for the majority of last year. Oh, that was neither of them? That was fucking me? Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, they can feud all they want to determine who the best in the company is, but we all know that it's neither of them. And then Shiori and Yuma, in their own press conferences, respond to this by saying, like, Higa can talk all the shit she wants, but, I believe we both beat her in the Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I beat her in the Grand Prix, and Yuma beat her in the Grand Prix. So, Fuyuko Higa thinks she's so much better than us, then how come she can't beat us? So, yeah, 58. Three of the biggest names in 5SSW. Whoever you think the biggest name is, it's one of these three. And they're all fucking going to war right now. So 58 for the first press conference angle. And the second press conference angle is the termination. They're commenting on the fact that Down to the Mat decided not to team with either of them. And how annoying it is with the Quad Squad just refusing to team with the termination. And Miwako and Maya doing absolutely nothing to stand up for their own stablemates. And Rika Rina crashed their press conference to essentially defend themselves and Down to the Mat. And it's like, why the fuck should we team with you after you got all pissy with us us last tour show? Yeah, you got pissy with Rika Rina, but Down to the Mat, we're the Quad Squad. That's what we call ourselves. We don't call ourselves that because we're fucking friends. No, because we're a goddamn unit and a force of nature when we team up. So when you fuck with two of us, you fuck with the other two. So they're not going to team with a bunch of big whiny assholes. So yeah, 48 more shots being fired between the termination and the Quad Squad, continuing through this tour. So that's it for the entirety of the show, and this show gets a 71 and a $9,300 gate. Beautiful, love to see it. And yeah, let's get into tour day number 3. Okay, tour day number 3 has arrived. We got a pretty big main event here. Icon Idol's big 3 of Megumi, Yuma, and Hart will take on the team of Romy Yamato, Fuyuko Higa, and Miwako Katsukawa. Yes, both Miwako and Maya, they did agree to no longer team for the rest of the tour show, as to not, I guess, get too comfortable working against each other, as both women want the title and to be the leader of Chicas Locas. So Maya will be in her own match with new partners. So yeah, let's get into this show. We kick things off with the Rose Queens defeating the team of Akira and Ayuko. 60, Thea Davis with a perfect performance here. Love to see it. Our other Young Lion match got a 57 as Paige Croft defeats Mitsumomo Tani. Going into the main show, we have a weird match as Kiyomi and Kinye defeat the team of Lady Lotus and Spider Isako. As even though the fans were turned off by the finish of this match, because I think it needs to go a certain amount of time with our product for them not to give a fuck. But what happens is Kiyomi and Kinye, with Connie Morris at ringside, are constantly cheating during the match to the point where Kiyomi's eternal foe at this point, former blood brother or blood sister, I guess, turned eternal foe, Sayuri Honda runs out to officially stop the bullshit, but only ends with Lady Lotus getting caught in the crosshairs, being affected by Sayuri Honda's run-in, allowing Kiyomi Mizuka to lock in the inverted sleeper and actually submit the current Triangle Champion in this match. So Sayuri Honda's idea completely backfired, and the cheaters did nothing but prosper tonight. So 46 to kick off the main show. Following that, with a beautiful 73, we see the team of Jemmy, Sei, and Monster defeat the team of High Fly Royalty and Eri Sato as Sei Akutagawa pinned Michiko Matsuda with the Northern Lights bomb after 15 minutes and 5 seconds. And Sei Akutagawa completely backed up all the shit she talked on that first tour show, saying, hey, if Michiko gets an All-Asian title match, I deserve to be in that conversation as well. And essentially, she's like, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that those 2 wins you had over Yuma and Shiori weren't impressive. However, I feel like you need to beat me to even be in the same breath as the All-Asian Championship. So how about this, Michiko? Me versus you at the pay-per-view. Winner faces Yu Hashimoto at Hall of Fame, which is our next pay-per-view, for the All-Asian Championship. And that is going to be our second match pre-booked for the show. Following that, we have a 71 rated 4v4 as Team Sub finally finds some new tag partners, this time being Maki Yoshifumi and Maya, and they get the victory over the best ever cronies, in Shiori's own words, Chibi Violence and the Uprising, as Maya locks in the triangle choke on Amiko Miyoshi to get the victory. Maya with the best performance of the match. 71 for that, and then our main event only gets a 73, surprisingly. I really thought this would have done a lot better, but it is what it is. Fuyuko Higa had the best performance. However, after talking a lot of shit on the press conference last night, saying that, oh, Fuyuko thinks she's better than me and Shiori, then how come she can't beat us? And look at this. Yuma Maruya pins Fuyuko Higa with the Yuma special, and following the match, gets up in her face and says, you still can't fucking beat us. You think that just because you held the title for the majority of last year, you're better than me and Shiori? You aren't, alright? Because we own you. We continue to own you. Shiori beat you in the one shot. I beat you tonight, alright? You might have gotten a win over me with your title reign. However, we own you once again. And that's how we end the on-screen show. We do have a lot of press conferences or press conference highlights to get into. And the first thing is Megumi Nakajima said, so I forgot to mention, during that main event, Romi Yamato completely plays dirty only against Megumi Nakajima. Still mad at her for beating her, I guess, adding salt into the wound of her poor Grand Prix performance. And Megumi Nakajima essentially says, yeah, I'm going to put her in her place. Don't you guys worry. We also had Kiyomi Mizuka kind of laughing at Sayuri Honda for fucking up her run-in, and also saying, look, Sayuri, I know you want this feud to continue, to get your hands on me for whatever reason. I don't know why you can't just get over me. But I'm so sorry that we can't face each other, because I now have earned an All-Asian title match by beating the champion thanks to you. I don't have to face you because I'm going to be challenging for the Triangle Championship at the pay-per-view. We also have Team Sub and Maki Yoshifumi. They just kind of come in, and the basis of their promo is like, hey, we really like teaming up with each other. There's a lot of good chemistry here. Maki Yoshifumi felt abandoned by her tag team partner. We were abandoned by our group. So there's just a lot of common interest and common fighting style between the three of us. So yeah. And then finally, Maya just cuts a quick promo saying, like, look, I won my match. Miwako lost her match. If everybody still thinks I'm an underdog, they can think that all they want. But when I'm holding up the world title over my group, Chicas Locas, you won't think I'm the underdog then, or something like that. Just essentially, like, she's getting her confidence. She's got confidence going into the title match now. So the overall rating was a 76, and the gate was a $9,100 gate. We are not gating Pop in Kansai in these tour shows anymore, but we don't really need to. All that really matters is the pay-per-views, essentially. We just got to focus on pay-per-views. Halfway point of the episode here as Heart Tour Day number 4 is upon us. We have Fuyuko Higa once again main eventing this show, this time against some members of Best Ever. We've also got the Young Lions in quite a weird opener, as they're going to be in a 4v4 teaming with Sakura Sada, so that can only help her momentum. Kicking it off is, of course, Akira, Mitsu, and Yuko being led by Sakura Sada into a losing match against the team of the Rose Queens and the Termination, as Toku pinned Akira in 5:38 following a spear. We then get a singles match, and we used a couple of risky creative finishes just to get rid of them while we're on a tour show. And we have a singles match between Asami Okubo and Lady Lotus, where Lady Lotus gets the pinfall victory in 15:02. And then immediately afterwards calls out Sayuri Honda, saying, like, look, you stuck your nose into someone else's business. Yeah, it was annoying that they were cheating constantly during that match, but you fucked me over, you had me lose, and now we have an undeserving challenger coming for my title. So while I'm taking on Kiyomi Mizuka, I want to take you on as well, Sayuri Honda. So come on and bring the fight to me. 56 for that angle. We then have another 4v4, this time the team of Venomous and Balkan Blue losing to the Quad Squad, because when the Quad Squad team up, they tend not to lose. It goes 12 minutes and 8 seconds when Hana Ajibana pins Spider Isaka with the Ajibana plunge. Really good performances from everybody in the Quad Squad here. A 69 for another team up with Team Sub and Maki Yoshifumi, this time defeating Wounded Warriors and Monster Ishimura. And the creative finish was a success this time. However, Yu Hashimoto comes out, and she essentially is like, Maki Yoshifumi, look, you turned your back on us. I don't know why Team Sub are over here trying to relate to you. Team Sub were abandoned by the people they called friends. You abandoned your friends. We're not just going to let you walk away from this, okay? Once you turn on one of us, you turn on all of us, Maki. So even though you're trying to move past the most embarrassing loss of your career to me, I'm not letting that shit happen. 69, Yu Hashimoto is not letting Maki Yoshifumi escape from Apex just quite yet. So, bang. And then our main event pulls a 70 as the Uprising and Shiori Japencha do in fact defeat the team of Fuyuko Higa, Romi Yamato, and Sei Akutagawa. And that is once again another loss for Shiori Japencha in the main event, as we see one of these, quote, non-faces of the companies, in Fuyuko Higa's own words, losing to Shiori, and Shiori just has a field day afterwards. Once again, she says it. She's like, I beat you in the one shot, and I beat you tonight. What are you gonna say now, Fuyuko Higa? What are you gonna say now? And that's actually how we end the on-screen show. We do have some more press conference stuff. Kicking things off first, we have an official agreement to a 4v4 match at the pay-per-view. The Termination and the Quad Squad, their feud is finally boiling over, and the Quad Squad will take on the team of the Termination and the Rose Queens at the pay-per-view. The Termination have been sick of being, in their eyes, isolated by the other members of Chicas Locas and want to take on the strongest 4-team faction in all of 5SSW. We also have Gemi Onishi and Monster Ishimura agreeing to join up with Yu Hashimoto in her fight against Maki Yoshifumi and now Team Sub. Gemi Onishi essentially repeating what Yu Hashimoto said, that whole "you turn on one of us, you turn on all of us." Me and Fuyuko need to step up in terms of leaders of this group, and allowing someone like Maki Yoshifumi to do what she did without stepping in ourselves was a mistake, and that is no longer happening. So we are also going to get a 3v3 between Gemi, Monster, and Yu versus Team Sub and Maki Yoshifumi, and then we have a half pre-booking announcement as the 3 girls, the 3 of the 4 biggest names in this company, are in the press conference to officially agree to settle the score in a 3v3v3 match. All 3 girls will get 2 members of their factions to team up against the other at the pay-per-view to finally assert dominance on who is truly the best and the biggest name between these 3 stars in 5SSW. So we don't know who they're going to be teaming up with yet, but we do know that there will be a 3v3v3 at the pay-per-view. And this show gets a 69, nice, and we didn't break the $9,000 gate this time, which is a bit of a shame. We were on such a great streak there, but all good things must come to an end, apparently. Alright, tour day number 5, the first of the last 2 tour days in the Heart Tour here. We got essentially the whole point of this show, for the most part, is going to be revealing who Yuma, Shiori, and Fuyuko will find to team with them during this 3v3v3 to prove who not only is the best leader of these 3 factions, but I guess in a way which of the 3 factions is the best in general. So, yeah, starting off the show, we have Aikira and Mitsumo Motani losing to Bulk and Blue in the first of our 2 Young Lion matches. And immediately after the match, Shiori is like, "Hey, Yuma, Fuyuko, I hope you are watching, because you 2 are going to have to take on these 2 behemoths of women at the pay-per-view." That's right, I'm bringing Bulk and Blue alongside myself to that 3v3v3. So 49 for that, and we already know who Shiori Japencha is bringing to this match. Following that, we have Iyuko versus Sakura Sada. Finally, a Sakura Sada Young Lion match got above a 40, so that's good for her. Following that, we have Lady Lotus and Venomous taking on Sayuri, Monster, and Sei. Lady Lotus called out Sayuri for sticking her nose into somebody else's business, but she did not anticipate Sayuri bringing along Sei Akutagawa and Monster Ishimura with her, and allowing Sayuri Honda to pin Lady Lotus with the Northern Light suplex. So that is another loss. Pinfall loss for the current Triangle Champion, this time to Sayuri Honda, and we will learn more about what's happening at the press conference later. Following that, we have a quick preview match for the Quad Squad 4v4 that's happening at the pay-per-view, as Down to the Mat take on the Rose Queens, and believe it or not, it is the Rose Queens who get the victory here, with Sofia Jankovic pinning Hana Ajibano with the Thorn to be Wild. This match got a 68. We then have another tag match. This time it's Romy and Yu Hashimoto losing to Etsuko and Maki Yoshifumi. This went 15 minutes and 18 seconds when Etsuko locked in the Ariyoshi lockdown on Romy Yamato to get the victory. Yu Hashimoto with an incredible performance here once again. Our semi-main, I think it's our semi-main, is a 4v4 as Best Ever's Chicas Locas and the Uprising lose to Icon Idols, Heart, Paige, Megumi, and Yuma. And After the match, Yuma announces that she will be bringing the tag team champions Hart Saito and Paige Croft to the 3v3v3 with her. She says, I want nobody but the best to accompany me to this battle between the three best factions in 5SSW, and why not bring the best tag team in the company along with me? And we know they're the best tag team because they are the tag team champions. So Yuma Maruya will be teaming with Hart and Paige Croft at the pay-per-view. And our main event tonight is the team of Wounded Warriors and Fuyuko Higa defeating the team of Eri Sato and High Fly Royalty. This got a 75, and it seems pretty obvious now as as the Wounded Warriors are teaming with Fuyuko Higa here. Fuyuko Higa says, great job tonight. However, I want these new acquaintances, these new, recruits to Apex. I want them to prove their worth in the biggest stage possible. And what's a bigger stage than against two of the biggest names that this company has produced in the past decade? So I will be bringing Wounded Warriors to this 3v3 with me. And that is how we end the live show. In the press conference, first things first, we have Lady Lotus and Sayuri Honda. Lady Lotus essentially saying, look, you know what, Sayuri? Fine. You won tonight, and just like Kiyomi Mizuka, you will get a triangle title match. I'll defend the triangle title against you two at the pay-per-view, but I want you to know that tonight was an anomaly. The cards were stacked against me in both of these losses I had. You fucking me over in that first one, and you bringing two of the toughest women in the locker room to take me on. So yeah, you two might have won during the tour, but come that title match, you two will be nothing. And Sayuri Honda's just kind of like in one ear out the other. All she cares about is she has found a way to get a match against Kiyomi Mizuka once again. So there is a 51 for that. We then have Sensational Ogiwara, the boss of the company, confronting Romi Yamato, as Romi has been, after bitch slapping Megumi and running away, playing underhanded during that 5v5 or whatever it was in the following show. Romi Yamato has been essentially dodging Megumi Nakajima. Anytime there was a press conference, she would dodge the question. She has always, not refused, but always found a way to be busy whenever there is a tour show to come around to not face Megumi Nakajima. And Sensational Ogiwara has caught on, and she is sick of it. She tells Romi Yamato, no more running. At the pay-per-view, you will take on Megumi Nakajima. You will reap what you sow, Romi Yamato. And then to finish things off, Miwako and Maya have been kind of absent for the past couple tour shows because I've been doing other shit. But main eventing the next tour show, they don't know who they're going to bring with them, and they don't know how many people this match is going to be. But at the next show, Miwako and Maya will face off. They will have a tag match, 2v2 or 3v3 or 4v4, who knows, but they are sparring to end the show in Tour Day 6. So that gets a 60. The overall show got a 77. Somehow it didn't result in any popularity changes, which is very depressing. We made barely over $9,000, and that is the final note heading into the final tour show of this episode. This is the final tour show for our episode tonight. The next show will, of course, be the Hearts Champion pay-per-view. As we know, it will be Miwako versus Maya in the main event at the pay-per-view. But tonight, we will have Maya teaming with Determination to take on Miwako and Rika Rina, along with a bunch of other preview matches for almost every single match on the card, other than we gave Yuma, Shiori, and Fuyuko the night off tonight. So, other than that, yep, let's just get into it. Kicking things off, we have the team of Sakura Sada and Eri Sato defeating some Young Lions in a 53 rated match. And then we have Yukiko Matsumara, who's been kind of getting, I wouldn't say pushed to the wayside, but she's definitely getting less of a focus, while her tag partner is getting a huge push to the next level in the meantime. So she gets a victory here over Mitsumo Motani. Kicking off the main part of the show, we get a fucking 78 as Chibi Violence and Kiyomi Mizuka lose to the team that will be taking on Team Sub and Maki Yoshifumi, Gemi Onishi, Monster Ishimura, and Yu Hashimoto. One of the greatest, like, non-main event tour. Like, this is fucking a crazy match. 78 is absurd. I would be happy to get that on a pay-per-view just last year. So, but yeah, you know, Gemi Onishi gets the victory in 12:42, pinning Kiyomi Mizuka with the Flying Dagger leg drop. This was designed to go steal the show, and it sure fucking did. So following that, we get the team of Maki Yoshifumi and Team Sub getting a somehow better rating as they get a 64, defeating the team of Sayuri Honda and Wounded Warriors. So Wounded Warriors got that big match going into next week, so this is going to hurt their momentum going into that. And Sayuri and Kiyomi are going to have an even both going into their title match with a loss, as Team Sub and Maki Yoshifumi defeated Apex in 13-16 when Etsuko submitted Sayuri Honda with the Ariyoshi lockdown. Following that, we have a 65, a preview match for both the All-Asian title #1 contenders match and the Romi and Megumi match, as Romi and Sei defeated Megumi and Michiko in 17:31 when Sei pinned Michiko with the Northern Lights bomb. So Sei will be going into the #1 contenders match with more momentum than Michiko. And our main event only gets a 68, but there is a lot of bad blood between these two teams, more specifically with the Termination and Rika Rina, as it is so much more violent when those two, when either combination of those four women are in the ring. It is way more violent than any other combination, as the Termination and Rika Rina are genuinely pissed at each other, to the point where this friendly spar turned very unfriendly afterwards. By the way, Maya pinned Rina to get the victory, so the challenger for the title and the leadership is getting the momentum going into it. However, that's all pushed to the wayside, as this spar was supposed to be just like a friendlier kind of like, let's get ready for this title match between us, and it turns into something much more than that, as Maya helps Miwako get up, but the Termination scoff at the two of them, walk out, and leave all four of these girls in the ring by themselves. The Termination want absolutely nothing to do with this group as of right now, and refuse to do anything, and Maya and Miwako are kind of like, fuck, what is going on over there? They're backbones of this fucking unit. But yeah, that's how we end the final tour show. Going into the pay-per-view, this show gets a 65. Rina Kasahara was used too much, and Yu Hashimoto stole the goddamn show. So the show was all over the place. We still made $9,000, so you can't be too mad about it. But yeah, we don't, in terms of stats, we don't really go into the pay-per-view on that huge of a note. But nonetheless, we continue forward. Alright, Hearts Champion 2023. As you can see, we have a lot higher expectations going into this year's pay-per-view than we did last year's. Last year's we were just happy to get 70s and then extremely happy to get 88. We're kind of expecting at least an 85 in the main event, if not some better matches before then as well. So going down the card in order, we're kicking things off with the Triangle Championship match. Both Sayuri and Kiyomi, after graduating from Young Lion status just a few months ago, are in their first ever championship match, getting asterisk wins against the current champion, Lady Lotus, who says, fine, you know what? You two can get your title match, but I'm winning this fucking triple threat, so it doesn't matter what happens. So that's the story for that. Following that, we have, it's not pre-booked because it's just a thrown-together, spur-of-the-moment match. It will be a 2v2v2v2 between Chibi Violence, Eri Sato and Sakura Sada, the Uprising and Venomous, just to get some more people on the card. We had extra time, so they put a tag match together. There's no story for that. Following that, we have the 4v4 between the Quad Squad and the Termination and the Rose Queens. The Termination have felt like ever since the Quad Squad finished up their feud with, I think it was Best Ever, when Best Ever was trying to tear them apart. Maybe it was Apex. Regardless, in recent times, the Termination have felt like that the Quad Squad have kind of abandoned them, and Chicas Locas as a whole have abandoned them, and they're sick of being, in their eyes, pushed away. So they're taking the fight straight to the Quad Squad in a 4v4. They're going to be teaming with the Rose Queens to, I don't know, teach them a lesson, I guess. We then have a 3v3v3 as Fuyuko Higa, Shiori Japensha, and Yuma Maruya all think that they're the best wrestler that doesn't have the world championship. So they've gotten 2 of their stablemates to team up with them to take on each other. Shiori's going to be teaming with Balkan Blue. Fuyuka's going to be teaming with Wounded Warriors, and Yuma's going to be teaming with the current tag champs Wrestling Passion. Then we have Romi Yamato versus Megumi Nakajima. Romi Yamato throwing a couple cheap shots at Megumi Nakajima after Megumi embarrassed her following an embarrassing Grand Prix performance, and then promptly running away and hiding until Sensational Ogiwara is like, this is fucking ridiculous. You gotta face the consequences of your actions. So that is why that match is happening. We have a number 1 contenders match. Both Michiko Matsuda and Sayako Tagawa had a very good Grand Prix, so they will face off against one another, where the winner will then take on Yu Hashimoto at the following pay-per-view Hall of Fame for the All-Asian Championship. So a number 1 contenders match there. Our semi-main sees Team Sub and Maki Yoshifumi, who have had really good chemistry as a trio. They both feel like that they were abandoned by their groups for different reasons. So they've teamed up, and they have similar wrestling styles. However, Yu Hashimoto explains that, no, Team Sub, you were abandoned. Maki Yoshifumi abandoned us. So if you're going to align with Maki Yoshifumi, then you're going to align against all of us. We're not taking this shit lightly. And Jemi Onishi and Monster Ishimura are stepping in alongside Yu Hashimoto to essentially be like, yeah, we should have addressed this problem sooner. Maki Yoshifumi needs to pay for how she acted against Yu Hashimoto. And then, of course, our main event, the winner of the 2023 J-Grand Prix, Maya, will take on and challenge Miwako Katsukawa for not only the championship, but the leadership of Chicas Locas. So they made the best woman win in the main event. And let's get straight into the show. Kicking things off is the Triangle Championship match. And Lady Lotus backs up what she fucking says. She said that Kiyomi and Sayuri didn't deserve those victories, didn't deserve this title shot, but since they got it, they're gonna have a rude awakening, and they got just that, as Lady Lotus defeats Sayuri and Kiyomi by pinning Kiyomi with the Senton Bomb after 12:35, making defense number 2 of the Triangle Championship. And look at that, Lady Lotus haters. Best performance in the match was a 54 from our Triangle Champion, Lady Lotus. 60 rated overall segment. Great way to kick off the show. The thrown together 2v2v2v2 match was pretty fun. It got a 64, so it got a perfect rating. Eri Sato got a 73, Selena and Talia got 79 and 73, so it's no surprise that the winners of tonight's match were the Uprising. There was no order of elimination. They pinned Venomous. That's how they won. So yeah, the Uprising win this impromptu 4-way tag match. Following that, we have the Quad Squad versus Determination and the Rose Queens. And in an upset, the Quad Squad faced their just second ever 4v4 loss on pay-per-view to the Determination and the Rose Queens after 12 minutes and 19 seconds when Unstoppable Tai hit Rina Kasahara with the Tai Bomber to get the victory. This match got a 63. Thea Davis got a 70. Holy shit. And after the match, the Determination tried to leave the Quad Squad high and dry. They're, like, at this point, it's kind of irreparable damage between these 6 women. I guess these 2 and these 4 women. However, on their way back to the ramp, Miwako Katsukawa tries to calm them down, like, look, Toku, Tai, I'm sorry, we can figure that, and they just blow right past the current leader of Chicas Locas and walk to the back, and they do not care. Unstoppable Tai has a gimmick that is getting stale. Let's remove her gimmick, because there is no need for that. We can drop it. There's no need to get those stale penalties. Following that is the 3v3v3 match. It gets a beautiful 79 because Fuyuko Higa is fucking incredible. And Shiori Japensha got an 82, which is crazy good. Yuma got a 69. Look at that. Fuyuko Higa shown in this match. And shown she did, as in the end, after 20 minutes and 12 seconds, Fuyuko Higa and Wounded Warriors pinned Paige Croft to get the victory in this three-way trios match. 79 for that. Fuyuko Higa, after being put down and scolded by both Yuma and Shiori constantly for the past few months, finally gets her win on pay-per-view, but she does not make the match about her, as we've just seen one team pin the current tag champs and make an official challenge. Wounded Warriors showcase their abilities at the biggest stage possible against some of the biggest names possible, and the team succeeded. So the Wounded Warriors, after Higa pinned Paige Croft, the trio beat the tag champs. The Wounded Warriors make an official challenge for the tag team championships at Hall of Fame. And that is going to be an official match pre-booked for that pay-per-view. Wounded Warriors, Wrestling Passion, tag team titles. Bang. Pre-booked. 65 for that angle. We then have Megumi Nakajima versus Romi Yamato, doing way better than it had any right to. Romi Yamato doing a better performance than Megumi Nakajima. However, in storyline, Megumi Nakajima is the better competitor, as she defeats Romi Yamato in 19 minutes and 41 seconds with the Super Explosion Suplex, finally being able to get her hands on Romi. But, Romi still put up one hell of a fight. When backed into a corner, Romi can still go. However, she is not quite on Megumi Nakajima's level in storyline. Following that is the number one contenders match. Michiko Matsuda, Sei Akutagawa. Sei is now essentially up 2-0 against Michiko Matsuda, but can she execute when the lights are brightest? And the answer is no. When the lights are brightest, as we saw in the Grand Prix, when the lights were brightest when she faced Shiori, when she faced Yuma, and even almost when she faced Higa, she won. She didn't beat Higa. She came really close, but she couldn't do it. When crunch time arrives, Michiko Matsuda performs as she defeats Sei Akutagawa in 21 minutes and 59 seconds to become the official number one contender for Yu Hashimoto's All Asian Championship. So Michiko Matsuda, after having one hell of a triangle title reign to kick off this series, she will now officially graduate and get the All Asian Championship match that she has damn fucking earned. Sei Akutagawa will get her time eventually, but right now it is time for Michiko Matsuda. And now going into our semi-main, the pay-per-view debut of this trio between Maki and Team Sub versus Yu, Monster, and Jemmy, and in a beautiful 89 rated match with a great performance from both Etsuko and Jemmy, and even good performances from Chieko and Maki and Monster, which you don't see often. Maki Yoshifumi and Team Sub are able to defeat Apex in 22 minutes and 10 seconds when Maki Yoshifumi pinned Monster Ishimura with the duck under head kick. Creative finish was a success. The trio stands tall. However, they do not stand tall for long, as they are then jumped by Shiori Japensha, Chibi Violence, and the Uprising. Shiori Japensha and her goons lay out Team Sub and Maki Yoshifumi. She grabs a microphone and she says, "Look, you can start assembling all the group you want. However, I still own you, bitch." And she throws the mic down right at Etsuko, sending a message for good. Etsuko wants to take the fight to Shiori. She told her to get over it. And now Shiori seems to be the one that can't get over it. Is she mad that she lost that 3v3v3? Is she mad that Etsuko is actually getting friends? Who knows why? All we know is that Best Ever versus Team Sub is far from over. And now it is time for our main event. Miwako Katsukawa has had the belt for over 230 days. She started Chica's Locust when she didn't even really want to, and she's going up against her only true best friend, the only woman she can truly trust, Maya. Maya is white hot, winning the Grand Prix, beating Miwako on the final tour show. However, there is a big difference between challenging for the world title and being the world champion, as Miwako Katsukawa is able to come out on top with a 94 rated match. Miwako defeats Maya in 24 minutes and 50 seconds by pinfall with the Katsukawa bomb. Miwako makes defense number 5 of the 5SSW world title. Maya had a fucking 88. The finish was a success. They did so good that there was a definite lack of psychology on display. That's crazy. Do you want to know how good their psychology is? Maya has an 80 and Miwako has a 77. Their wrestling was so good that they outdid their psychology. Holy shit. A 90 fucking 4 main event. We have a new match of the... Holy shit. Yeah, 24 minutes and 50 seconds, and then that's going to make this promo afterwards even more impactful, because afterwards, Miwako and Maya, they celebrate with a big old hug. Miwako may still be the champion. Maya may not have conquered the championship, but Miwako gives Maya a huge hug and essentially just tells her how proud she is of her, how happy she is to call her a friend, how happy, and just wholesomeness all around. No bad blood. These two will never break apart. And especially not tonight, as they perform fucking magic in the main event here. Finish the show. The show overall gets a 93. I think I've broken the game. I don't think you get better than this. I don't think it's possible to get better than this. Yep. I don't know. I'm speechless. That's all I can say. $54,000. We earned every penny. We gained another pop point. I don't know what to say. Miwako and Maya, I put that match together. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be a good storyline match, but it's not gonna give me a rating. It gets a fucking 94. It gets a 94. Our second best match is a 90. And it happened 2 pay-per-views ago. I don't know. I don't know. What? Yep. I don't know. Where do you go but up? At this point, where do you go but up? Oh my fucking lord. She still has morale issues. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Whatever. I don't care. Maki Yoshifumi can be as much of a pain as she wants. We just put on a 94. I don't care. Whatever. Damn, it feels good to be 5-star supreme. Alright? We're still supreme over here. Where do you... Yep. I'm genuinely speechless. No, like, I actually don't know what to say. I genuinely don't. I guess we can just go by what we're doing on the next show. We have an All-Asian title match and a tag title match pre-booked. Where do the termination go from here? Where do Team Sub and Maki, how do they respond to Best Ever? What does Fuyuko do now that she beat Yuma? All these questions will be answered. I was going to say and more, but I don't know what kind of questions you guys would ask, so those might not be answered. But I hope you all enjoyed this edition of 5SSW with American Influence. I fucking know the fucking 53,000 people that watched it on All Japan and the 3,100 people in attendance enjoyed it. So I hope you guys did too. And I hope you all come back for our next pay-per-view, Hall of Fame 2023.